So what I want to do is, because every single time during these webinars, there's always been some new folks who are not quite familiar with who Trust Your Talent Academy is yet. So I'll take the first couple of minutes to just quickly walk everybody through it. And for many of you, I know you're already in the community, so welcome and have fun during the webinars. First of all, want to put up the disclaimers as we always do. And really, all this mumble jumble legalese is just what my lawyers want me to share with you. Because ultimately, what I really want to say is it okay that all of us here from Trust Your Talent, we are putting our experienced investors hats on today with you to share with you what real life scenarios actually is like and how you can navigate through the real estate investing industry. Yes, that's really what this is ultimately is about, because you can pay $300, $500, $1,000 billable hours to listen to lawyer talks. However, really at the end of the day, we want to share with you what this really means, okay? Although I don't have a lot of different letters behind my name these days, it doesn't really matter. Life is good, life is happy. I got more than enough resources to live out the rest of my life in the way I want, whenever I want, however I want. And the whole idea really is we are here as educated and professional investors who work with licensed professionals, meaning we've learned to leverage other people's knowledge, other people's time, other people's expertise and experiences, and other people's money, so that we can create the financial success, the financial security, and the financial independence that we're all looking for. Does that sound good to everybody? Awesome. And so just want to let you know that this session is recorded, and it may be, or parts of it may be, used as marketing materials as well. So moving forward, who is TYT? So some of you guys have asked that question. I know I already got like a private message here, and which doesn't really happen very often. So I'm going to answer your question very quickly. Trust Your Talent is created originally in Canada. We've expanded into the United States as well in terms of our training team. So speaking of our training team, Trust Your Talent Academy has the largest financial education programs, curriculums, and team across the world right now. I dare everybody to go out there and find another organization that has the depth, the breadth of programs and training team when it comes to financial education as us. Yes, there might be other real estate investing programs and single programs out there. However, you're not going to find another academy that basically streamlines how financial education should be delivered and what kind of different asset classes that you can leverage to create the financial results that you are looking for. And so what that really means is what we do is not one size fits all, because every single person in this room, if you haven't heard me say this yet, and even if you have, really let that sink in, because I've been on this journey now professionally for nearly 14 years as a real estate investor, as an investor, period. I just realized that one size fits all education or programs or learning just doesn't really work for me, because I'm at a different age compared to some other people. I have different life experiences, professional experiences that I carry with me, and skills, and more importantly, financial resources to help me get started. And last but definitely not least, my level of risk tolerance. I've met some people that have an incredible amount of risk tolerance level and some not so much. So again, how do you tailor and customize your journey as an investor should never, ever be the same as, hey, let's all go in on buying a 100-unit apartment building. It is never about that. It is about securing your own financial situation. And if you want to join forces on other things and do bigger things, that's fine too. However, make sure that you are properly educated and hitting your personal goal first. And so this is why you will, when you go to the workshops, you will always learn about our definition of financial independence as well as financial freedom. And this might be a good time to share with you that at Trust Your Talent Academy, especially when it comes to financial wellness, our mission, first and foremost, is to help people create financial independence, and we do that one person at a time. And some people will argue one family at a time as well. And so all the coaches, trainers, and mentors on the team, we walk the walk. Why is that so important to us and why is that so important to you? Is the fact that you are learning up-to-date, relevant experiences, educations, and information. Because we always say we live in the information age now, right? Who here is actually watching this or joining us on your mobile device of any kind? Yeah, a few people. There we go. Because these days, information is cheap. Just like in the earlier days, I don't know how old you think I am. We used to say talk is cheap. And now is information is cheap because if information alone was enough, we would all be billionaires and have six packs or perfect bodies already, right? Because we know a lot of things, but we don't know how to actually execute them. And that's where the one-on-one support, coaching, mentoring comes in, okay? And again, you're going to be educated and coached and mentored by people that are actively doing the trades, as in we're all active real estate investors, paper asset investors, as well as business owners, amongst many, many other ventures. And the way we run things is every single program, should you get to that point with Treasure Talent Academy, when you're exploring options, we believe in what we call a full immersion environment. You will never find another, once again, academy that puts on as many events as we do to create the community that we have today, as well as letting the outside world know that we really are here to want to make a difference in people's lives, starting with their financial situation. And we believe that many of us, we've been raised with what we would call the old school, outdated financial blueprints that really don't serve us in the year 2023. And that's the funny thing, because today's subject is how to purpose build to maximize profit. And so many people, they got into building, as far as I know and aware of, in North America in the last few years especially, they built it thinking that it's kind of like that movie, The Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And they have to learn it the hard way, because what they're missing is one very crucial component of purpose building, which is project management. And this is why we're so proud and so excited to share with you what we're about to show you. And so what that really means is that it doesn't change overnight. A lot of our mindset, especially when it comes to how money works. And so we always say, I don't know, how many immigrants, by the way, out of curiosity, are in the room today? Like myself. I'm an immigrant to this country. And when I first moved here, I spoke very little, very little English. Okay. I know a few people in this room can attest to that. And well, how I really learned how to speak is really by being here, the full immersion experience. And so we believe that learning how to invest and becoming a professional investor so that you can not only protect everything that you've worked so hard for, you can actually effectively and efficiently grow it, okay? And so it does take time to really change some of the mindset and the old habits and our views about money and investing. And so 1 or 2 year programs is really what we're looking at. And ultimately, we are an education only academy. I know a lot of people, they say, doesn't academy mean education only? Yes and no. We want to let you know that we are focusing 100% on growing your income and your wealth. Why? As I mentioned, coaches, trainers, and mentors on the Trust Your Talent team, we don't need your money. We want to train you because we really do want to help you, because every single one of us have been in your situation in the past. I dislike when others are being taught enough just so that they can buy into other people's projects. That's not what this is about. We want to be able to train you so that you can develop your own business decision, your own business model, your own thought process, so that whatever opportunities, meaning investment opportunities, get put in front of you, you have the skill set and the knowledge and the community and the support and more importantly, the mentorship to decide whether or not this is going to be contributing to your financial goal and ultimately your life situation. So really, that's who Treasure Talent is in a nutshell. And at the end of this, I will share with you how you can learn more about us, once again, when we get to that point. So today, as I mentioned earlier, I am not the star. I'm just here to basically warm you guys up. I don't know if I'm doing a good job or not. Give me a wave if you're still awake with us, okay? So today, I've invited our award-winning strategy trainer for this particular strategy that we call infills and project management, as well as our award-winning mentor, Mr. Rolando Davila. And so many of you, I know you're excited because you submitted questions already. And so here are just some of the questions that you've submitted. So I know Rolando is going to take some time to make sure that he goes over these questions, and we're going to be opening the floor up for some Q&A at the end of his presentation. And after that, what we'll do is come back and share with you some of the really exciting upcoming webinars as well on the same series for the next couple of months, amongst other things. So with that said, I am going to now take off my screen and let Rolando bring his slides up and let everybody say hi to him, say hi to each other.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you, Tim, for inviting me to today. I'm really excited to be here and happy to see lots of familiar faces and at the same time, lots of new faces, which is fantastic. That's meaning that the community is growing and what we are doing is making an effect on the community as a general. So that's fantastic. So as Tim mentioned, today I'm going to be talking a little bit about infill properties and what infills are all about and whatnot. My presentation is rather short. I didn't want to keep make it too long to give you guys the opportunity to ask questions and make it a little interactive, because as Tim said, he has some other stuff that he wants to share with you guys before we wrap up today's session. So infill properties. So can I get anyone from the group to tell me, unmute yourself and tell me, what's your understanding of what an infill property is?
I can share.
Sure,
So
go ahead.
If there's a subdivision where there's a lot that's not developed or a house that can be torn down and rebuilt, it's just one property usually, or maybe a lot that's divided into two and you put up two, but it's like generally one project, not like 6 acres where you're putting up a whole development.
That's correct. Thank you, Kate, for sharing. That's you are right. It's very different from a new development. A new development is when you see typically outside the city where there is a big, massive piece of land, and a developer comes in and they start, building streets and putting the street lighting and doing all these different things, all the underground services, water, utilities, and all these different things, and they build a brand new neighborhood. When we talked about infill properties, is doing that development but at a smaller scale. The biggest difference is that from an infill perspective, we focus on building infills in mature neighborhoods. So rather than going to newer areas, we go to old areas, ideally areas that are relatively close to the core downtown of the different cities, and where all the infrastructure is already there. So the streets are there, sidewalks, street lighting, all the underground services, and so on and so forth. So the whole idea is that we try to find a property that is very old, that it doesn't really make sense to renovate. It's usually very small, and then we tear that house down and we build brand new. So from a building perspective, it's very similar to a brand new development. However, from a location perspective, an infill is located in a mature neighborhood. Sorry, I don't know why I'm gonna have to stop sharing for a moment because it's not letting me advance the presentation. Give me just So as I was saying, so infill is housing in the insertion of a new residential development into an existing neighborhood where all the public infrastructure is already there. So from the city, from a city perspective, most cities love and they are very supportive of infill developments because they don't have to do much. They don't have to come and invest a large amount of money to produce to introduce services to these neighborhoods because the services are already there. However, if we can tear down a small house, let's think for a moment. We tear down a small house, a single family dwelling, and we build a fourplex or a sixplex. Then we are bringing 4 or 6 families, 4 or 6 taxpayers to the same lot. So from that perspective, the city loves it because the city is going to be collecting way more taxes from the same lot. So now, what are the typical infill properties? As I already mentioned, the typical candidate is a very, very old house. And these old houses are typically very small. If I want you, maybe think about your grandma's house or somebody that you know that owns a house that it was built in the 1930s, the 1940s. Usually these houses were tiny. Most of them typically under a 1,000 square feet. However, most of them are usually, they were built or they are actually sitting in a very decent sized lot. So for the most part, a typical lot is 33 by 120 feet. And as Kate said, in some cases, there are lots that are bigger. There are some of these tiny houses sitting in lots that are actually 50 by 120 or 50 by 140. And what that does is, if we go through the process of rezoning, if necessary, and we can apply for a subdivision, eventually we could tear down a small house and build not 1 but 2 houses. So think about that just from a profitability perspective, what that will do to our business if we can just tear down a small house and build 2. And then, of course, we can, I'm talking about a single family home. We could build 2 single family homes that we could sell, or we could potentially build a small multi-unit. We could build, in a 50 by 140, we could build a side-by-side duplex with fully developed basements, which will make it technically a fourplex, or we can potentially, if we are very creative and we have a very good architect working with us, we could potentially build something even a little bigger. So typically what happens is that we buy something like this. By show of hands, can you guys see, a house like this in the neighborhood that around you, and when you drive around, is this a typical house that you could see in a mature neighborhood? Yeah, 100%. So this is the type of houses that we are going to be focusing on, finding something like this, really small, old, doesn't really make sense to renovate. It will be probably more expensive to renovate than just to tear it down and build brand new. And this is something that this is an example of what we could do in a lot like the one that is on the left-hand side. I understand that there are people that they love living in old houses that have certain character and whatnot, and we respect that. However, if you look at it, the vast majority of people, they like to live in more modern, newer type of houses. So think about now if we can combine the character of an old neighborhood with old trees and, closer to downtown, closer to amenities, restaurants, and all these different things that are typically really close to the downtown or in the downtown area. And we combine that with a brand new home that features all the, the new technologies and gadgets and all the different things that most people like. So that's when from an infill perspective, We as investors, we like it because these houses are going to be way, way more attractive to buyers. The profitability is great. And the city, of course, the city loves it because we are contributing to the rejuvenation and the embellishment of these old neighborhoods and making the city nicer, more attractive, and so on. Now, why invest in infill? You guys maybe, I know that some of you are already part of the community, you already engage in and utilizing different strategies. I know some of you are already investing in infills, and I see some of you here in this group that are actively looking into getting in infills and whatnot. So why to get in infills? So as investors, eventually what we do, we typically buy and hold properties, right? Now, I want you guys to think about every time that we buy something, it doesn't matter what. It could be a burger. It could be anything that you go and you buy a book, anything, a vehicle, anything that you buy, whoever is selling it is making a profit. Okay, and that's just pure business, right? So you do something for a profit, you sell something, you make a profit. You sell a bottle of water, then you make a profit, and that's if your business is selling water. Okay, so when we buy property, it's not different. When we buy property, we are paying somebody a profit. Somebody, whoever took the time to build that property, to maintain that property, maybe to renovate the property or whatever, that person is making a profit, which is totally legal, it's totally fair. We are paying that profit. So think about, what about if instead of buying wholesale and we are buying that house from somebody, we build the house ourselves? And then we keep that profit that other person was going to earn, we keep that profit in our pocket. Is that a bad deal or a good deal if we keep that profit in our pocket, right? So the other thing is that if you are here, I'm assuming that it's probably because you are thinking in building a relatively sizable real estate portfolio. Because to be honest with you, if your goal is to buy just one house, do you really need to go all these training? Probably not. You can probably figure out how to buy a house, right? Now, if you want to protect your risk, minimize your risks, protect your investment, and build a relatively large real estate portfolio, that's where the education component comes in. And I will definitely suggest that if you are planning in building a sizable real estate portfolio, that you get yourself educated, right? I will never suggest to anyone to not only infills, but any type of real estate investment to get involved to build a sizable business without getting the proper education. Okay, so infills is a little bit more of an advanced strategy, if you will. Of course, as you can understand, the higher the reward, the higher the risk. So we need to definitely make sure that we get educated, we have the right tools in place so that we can insert this strategy into real estate portfolio. Richard, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just have a quick question here. Hi, Rolando.
Hi, Richard. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So for the old house, do you graze it? Do you just tear it down completely and build a new one from the ground up?
Correct. That's the idea. That's the idea, right? So, okay. So from that perspective, when you think about, probably most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with the buy, fix, and flip strategy, the buy, fix, and buy and renovate and sell strategy. So this is like a big renovation project, right? So I like to call it is like a flip on steroids. Is much bigger, it's a little bit more advanced, but it's the same concept. It's just instead of renovating an old house, we are just tearing it down and building brand new.
Sorry,
Sorry, go ahead.
is Jackson. The previous question, one of the things that I've done, I build many infills. I've done about 40 of them. One of the things I've done is I've actually been able to sell the old house to somebody who, you know, would like to take it onto an acreage or a hobby farm or something like that, which is a potentially, you can maybe make a little bit of profit, but actually could eliminate some other costs. So that's the one thing I did with one of my infill projects.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Jackson, for participating and letting us know. Definitely, I mean, this is like any other strategies. There are many different things that we can do with the application of this strategy. We can, you know, we can buy and build and sell. We can build and hold. We can, you know, just build somebody else's houses and so on and so forth. Because, you know, that's kind of one of the components of my business. Is I do this for other people too, not only for myself, but I you know, we do renovations for other people. We build for other people as well. So there are a number of different things that we can definitely do, and you know, where depending on how creative we are, then the more opportunities we can create. Now, as I was saying, because of you know, the large profits that we could get by investing in infills, this is a way for us to accelerate our journey to financial independence. I will suspect that most of you, if not all of you, are here looking into using real estate as a vehicle, as an investment vehicle, because most likely you are looking for achieving financial independence and financial freedom. So this will be a strategy that will definitely accelerate that process. And the other thing is that, you know, when we build infills, when we build a business that is a repeat business, that is a sustainable business, of course, we can, you know, we can build a legacy, right? And leave legacy for, you know, for our children, for our family, for whoever, right? So it's another thing that, another benefit that we can get out of investing in infill projects. Now, you may be thinking, where to start? What is it? I'm new here. I don't know much. Where to start? And as I said earlier, my recommendation will be, you know, the first thing is to get educated. I will never, ever suggest to anyone to get in anything of this nature without having the proper training. Okay, so the first thing is, if you are definitely interested in learning more about this strategy, as Tim said, we are offering the Fields and Project Management class at the upcoming annual conference in October. So this is a great opportunity for you guys to start learning and getting involved and getting the tools that you need to introduce and start using this strategy to build your portfolio. If you decide to join me in class, this is a summary of what you guys will be learning. I have divided this class in 3 modules, and the class is going to be it's a 3 days class. So we'll cover 1 module per day. So the first day we will go over the strategy, why to invest in infills. We'll go into more depth as to why investing in fields, the infill fundamentals, and the construction sequence. I didn't mention this at the beginning. I should have mentioned this, but I've been involved in the construction industry for a while. So I've been in the construction world for more than 30 years. So we'll go over some construction strategies and whatnot. We will get into the cost analysis and how to create a controlled budget. As you guys probably seen, some of the reasons why some projects fail, and not necessarily in real estate, in any type of projects. Most projects fail because cost overruns. And then so one thing that we teach in this class is to make sure that we understand what the cost is before we consider going into the project, right? So we look at you know, the cost of buying the lot, the cost of construction. We look at the exit strategies, how we are gonna what design makes sense for this property and what not, and we get a full understanding of the cost, and we create what we call a controlled budget, so that every time we have the fingers on the pulse and we know exactly how we are spending against our original budget, so that if for one reason or another we realize that we are spending more money, then the sooner we do it, the higher the chance that we are going to have to make some adjustments and to turn the project around and to bring the project back on track. There is nothing worse than not understanding that you are incurring in additional cost, and that your project is your cost is going higher, and at the end, throwing your hands on the air and realize that you spent way more money than was anticipated, and probably your profit is gone. Then we'll talk about some financing elements, where to find the money, where to go, how to position ourselves as subject matter experts, so that we can go and find financing from private investors, from lenders, and so on and so forth. Then on module 2, we are going to get more into the details of land use, zoning, and all these different things, the permits, the process, and we are going to talk about some design considerations, what makes sense for that particular property in that particular location, and based on our exit strategy. Because as you guys can appreciate, when you are building, there are two different ways of building depending on the exit strategy. One thing is building a brand new family home that you are going to sell to a family, and a completely different thing is building an investment property that you are going to keep, or that you are going to sell to an investor that to hold and rent. So two different concepts, two different type of design considerations. And at the end of module 2, we are going to start talking about the project management fundamentals. Why? And I think that Tim mentioned briefly about these. As I said earlier, so the profit opportunities when building infill projects is much larger, probably the largest of any other real estate strategy that you can think of. However, as I said, the higher the reward, the higher the risk. So we want to make sure that we learn how to do this properly, and that we use proper project management processes and tools, so that we mitigate those risks and we maximize profitability. So on day 3, we're going to go over the project management processes, and we are going to explain all the tools and the different things that we use, depending on each phase of the project, where the project is at, and very importantly, how to monitor and control your project as construction is progressing, so that we know exactly where the project is at any given time. So that's about it. So I don't know, Tim, how we are doing for time, but if we have time, we can, I can answer any questions that you guys may have.
Yeah, why don't we do this? Let's just open it up for a Q&A for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I know there's been a lot of questions. We're all frantically typing in the chat box. So let's make it a bit more interactive. How's that?
Yeah, so I wonder, for homes that are already built, the inspection or the diligence is more straightforward, right? You send the inspector in, and they do the work, and that's it. I'm curious what the inspection process is like for lands, because I would imagine not all lands are created equal. Some might be more suitable for building homes than others. So I wonder if you can get into some of the details there.
Yeah, so excellent question, Richard. So the first thing, when you are looking at buying a property, let's say there is an old house in that lot, you don't need to worry about inspection. We never go see, we don't even go see the houses. It's not a good way of investing our time, because again, you're gonna tear the house down. So the house is gonna be gone as shortly after you close and you own the land. So from that perspective, inspection is not needed. Now, when you look at the land, so it's more about, and we'll talk a lot about that in class, it's about doing your due diligence and understanding what you are allowed to build and what you are not allowed to build in that particular lot, right? So what is it? What's the zoning? And what that zoning allow me to do? It is just single family homes or allow me to build a small multi-units. Can I do a mixed use or change it to some sort of a commercial and so on and so forth. So it will be part of the due diligence process, understanding what the city allows to build in that lot at the moment. And if we have a different idea, whether rezoning or changing the zoning is going to be supported by the city.
Thank you.
I have a question. So just like continue with that same question, that process where you're checking with the city to find out about changing zoning, for example, are you putting an offer on the property right away to then have conditions to sort that out during your conditional period? Or is that something like a realtor should be researching certain zonings in certain areas and then stay on top of it? So as soon as you see something with the right potential, then you place the offer.
That's an excellent question, Kate. And I'm really happy that you are asking that question because I get that quite a lot from my students and from my mentees. And this is, guys, this is not just related to infills. And this is what I'm pretty sure that, Tim and other mentors here teach the same thing. We always put offers no matter what, right? If you are not putting offers, that means that you are not actively building your business, okay? Now, there is a difference between just putting an offer for the sake of putting an offer and putting an educated offer, okay? So what we teach is, don't be afraid. If you identify something that sounds like it may be a deal, put an offer on it. Make sure that you structure your offer with adequate conditions so that you can get out if the house or the lot doesn't work. However, you want to make sure that you get it, right? So the moment that you identify something that may work, put it on the contract. You negotiate, get it an offer, give yourself enough time, right? So when it comes to infill projects, these projects are a little longer than your normal flip that can or fix and renovate and hold or renovate and sell project that may take 3 to 4 months or whatnot. So these projects will take typically about a year, or even longer, depending on where you end up, which time of the year you end up buying the property, because as you probably know, building during the winter time is not the most cost effective. So sometimes on purpose, we push construction to start the next spring. However, there are tools and there are things that we can use, like a long-term closing, to offset our cost, our holding cost, right? So all those tools are available to us. And as I said, if we make educated decisions and educated offers, then we can work through those type of things and still being able to give ourselves enough time to do our due diligence and to figure things out.
Thank you. I have one other question. If you are not a builder, and you identify a lot, you place a property, is there still enough margin that it makes sense to then hire a builder to purpose build that lot? Or does the strategy work better if you are a builder?
No, not necessarily. You don't have to be a builder, right? And as I always say, you don't have to be an expert to actually execute any of the real estate strategies. You need to know enough to ask smart questions and to put tools in place to execute the project properly, right? For the most part, we use general contractors, and this is actually makes me think of some of the common questions that I get from a student is, how do we find good general contractors, right? So, and again, it's going to be part of our due diligence process. Is a general contractor is another member of our power team The same way that we go around and we find realtors and lawyers and accountants and home inspectors and whatnot, then we go around and we do our due diligence to find good general contractors. And of course, the numbers need to make sense, right? We understand that that general contractor is going to be making a profit, right? So we need to make sure that the project is solid and that the numbers support the project. So there is no need for taking shortcuts or rushing into things. Trust me, there are tons of opportunities everywhere. There is no need for just getting into one where the margins are very tight or the numbers are super tight just because we want to get into a project. There is no need for doing that. There are, we evaluate deals all the time, and most of them we don't get. Right? It's just the volume of evaluation what actually makes us to get and be very selective with the deals that we are going to take on.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much. I just had always assumed that anytime that there's an infill project, that person was a builder. So to know that there's an opportunity to like maybe partner with a builder or something opens up a whole new set of opportunities. So thank you very much. I'm excited about
100%. 100%.
Yeah, so I'm brand new. Adam, my boyfriend, and I are just joining. And I guess I'm just looking to see with regards to zoning and the cost to develop, like if it's not zoned for the right thing that I want it zoned for, I guess. Like, what's the timeline? What's the process? Like, do you focus more on, finding the already zoned properties for development, infills, as well as duplexes or fourplexes or whatever the case might be?
Yeah, great question, Mike. So, it will be ideal in an ideal situation. You find a lot that have the right zoning for what you are intending to build and whatnot. However, the rezoning process is fairly simple. It takes time though, and each city is different. So the timelines are all over the place. Some cities are faster in responding than others. Cost-wise, is when you look at a project like this, the cost is marginal. It's just a few hundreds of dollars to file the rezoning and whatnot. And that's what I said earlier. The timing, it could make this project a little longer because we need to make sure that if we are going to apply for rezoning, that we give ourselves enough time, right? If the city reacts quickly and provide us an answer sooner than anticipated, great. However, if the city takes long and in our holding cost, so that's the cost because it's taking longer for the city to give us an answer. But the process is fairly simple.
Right. That makes sense. Thank you for that. And just to follow up on that, have you ever run into problems with the community pushback? For example, you have bungalows in a residential neighborhood, but you want to put up a 2-story. I think that, I don't know if their process is to ask the community and surrounding neighbors, like, could that affect your zoning and application and pushback if you've already invested into the property?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. And to answer your question, yes, we have run into situations like that. It's not extremely critical though, because what is going to happen. Most of these old neighborhoods, they don't have really architectural control. Of course, the city wants to make sure that you are not building something, out of this world that is gonna impact the entire looking of the neighborhood. The city is gonna look into that, but if you are not looking at building something exotic, it's just you're looking at building something nice but modern. Chances are that the city is going to be okay with it. Now, the neighborhoods, for the most part, the neighbors love the idea, and they are very welcoming to investors that want to execute infills in the neighborhoods. Do you guys have an idea why? Why most neighborhoods will be in favor and happy that we are building new houses in their neighborhoods? Can anyone tell me?
I think, well, I would say because it ups the value of their current property. Like if if they're worth 500 and a house goes up to them that's now worth $1.2 million, well, that certainly, ups the value of their own property and equity value, right?
100%. So most neighbors, they love it because we are bringing the value of the entire neighborhood up. So is the value of their homes, even if they are not doing anything to their homes, just by the fact that lots are gonna the price of the lots, the value is gonna go up. They are just gonna be happy for that. Now,
Yeah.
I remember once I had a concern with one of the neighbors because he didn't build a brand new home. He invested in a massive amount of money renovating his home. And his home was, the architectural features were kind of unique, a very old home, but it was big and very nice. And the moment that we put a sign on that lot that we were going to build, he called me immediately and he said, "Hey, I wanna chat with you. I'm your neighbor on the right side." And then I went to meet him, and he just wanted to understand what type of property we were going to build, because again, he just invested a massive amount of money renovating his house, and he didn't want certainly something next to his house that it was completely different and whatnot. So, in a very friendly way, we had our permits, we had everything lined up, but in a friendly way, we showed him the drawings and the renderings, and he said, "This is what we are doing," and and he was happy with it. So no problems at all.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the answers. That's great.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I want to quickly jump in here if I can. We actually have a few experiences now, some good, some bad, some pretty ugly. And I think anytime anybody's thinking about building, whether it's infills or building larger projects from scratch, no matter what, your neighbors automatically need to be a part of your marketing campaigns in terms of, it's no different than showing your potential JV partners, capital partners in terms of what the project's going to look like. Clearly, you do not have to share all your deal analysis, the return, and all that good stuff. However, very much like what Rolando was saying, this should really be one of the first people that you go and talk to. And I know the way I learned it before is learn how to campaign your neighbors on that subject property. And just let them know, maybe throw a block party. We've built in different markets across Canada. We've also participated in builds in the US and Texas and Florida over the last 15 years. And in the UK, we've also built from scratch as well. Now it's very much an infill, like knocked it all down and rebuild it. And the process is exactly the same. The few times that either we forgot to, or we didn't make the time to, or our partners, that managing partners didn't make the time to, usually, yes, at the hearing stage, you're gonna hear all these questions. However, if you preemptively address all the questions, you're gonna have a much smoother ride when that happens.
Very good point, Tim. And using a project management term, we call that stakeholder management, and we'll go through that in class. And we'll discuss different things and tips as to strategies that we use to build a relationship with the neighborhood and with the neighbors and so on and so forth, and building that relationship and communicating and keeping them in the loop, and taking a proactive approach rather than a reactive approach. So yes, that's a very good point.
Yes, hi, Rolando.
Hi, Megan, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. You probably have already mentioned back in the beginning. I want to back in the beginning that you mentioned, because I was busy cooking, I probably have missed it. Just want to confirm that when the infill is built, is it always better to hold it for long term or sell it? Because I know that, I know this is again a business decision between the investor. But my question is, when I look at the property, or like because we come across your property with the land, and the plan is planning to demolish it and do the infill, mini infill there. But we have come to a question that should we keep it for long term or we should sell it? Because I know if we sell it, we probably get a profit on spot, then the investment get the money. But if we keep a long haul, I just want to see what's your perspective on that.
Yeah, so the first thing that I would like to say on that note, Megan, is and again, this is not only related to infills. Your strategies, what strategies you decide to utilize, needs to be in alignment with your long-term goals. Okay, and then you focus on executing the strategies that are gonna get you to.
I think we lost Rolando there for about 10 seconds.
Oh,
So what I was saying, that your strategies need to be in alignment with your goals and with your long-term plan. Okay. Now, based on that, let's say for a moment that your strategy is to hold properties. Then, from an infill perspective, you are going to focus on finding lots in areas that are conducive to probably small multi-units or multi-units in general, and then you are going to focus on building and holding that property for a long time, right? Now, if your strategy or your short-term goals are more on the quick cash side of things, you want to build capital, then probably building and selling will be more conducive to your business. And then from that perspective, you focus on probably building for single family homes that you are going to sell to a family. Now, in all reality, as you do more, chances are that you are going to come across potential opportunities. Realtors are going to bring deals to you, another investor, a wholesaler, somebody's going to bring a lot to you that it may not be on your radar. So then from that perspective, what you do is then you figure out first, what is it that you can do with this lot? What is the location? What the location looks like? Is this a family-oriented neighborhood, or is this more renters, right? So you look at the statistics, you look at the numbers, and you understand if the majority of the people that live in this neighborhood owners or renters. And if they are owners, then you're probably better off building to sell. If most of the residents in that neighborhood are tenants, then there you go. You probably better off building something that you can hold. And if holding is not your strategy, then you build and you sell it to another investor, right? Or as Jackson said at the beginning, one thing that you can do is you can promote your project first, sell it to an investor, and then you build it. So there are a lot of different things that you can do to maximize opportunities.
thank you. Really appreciate.
You're welcome. Tim?
Yeah, so Megan, I actually also want to jump in and piggyback on what Rolando just said too, is everybody in the community, you've learned about SMP, right? And it's always goal SMP. And if you haven't, make sure you speak to a strategy coach after the webinar. Now, aside from that, we also talk about we buy and sell to create capital so that we can buy and hold to create long-term wealth and income streams. And so going back to your question, I'll give you a quick example right now. As you know, Edmonton, we call it home, and you were just here about a month ago, and you were looking at different opportunities. Now, there were people that blindly just thought that building was great 3 years ago. They just, took a random course for a weekend and they decided to build. And now if you're looking at the listings, okay, and what's on sale, tons of fourplexes with legalized basement suites. So basically eightplexes with detached garages. Those build costs were well over $2 million, and they're asking 1.8, 1.9 right now. Why? Because again, they did not know actually how to project manage the whole thing, control their budget, and now they need to offload. Now, the point really here is they didn't start with the end goal in mind. They just wanted to build because everybody out there was saying, just build, just build, just build. Okay. And so again, this is where really you gotta hang on to a lot of fundamentals that we've shared with you, that we teach here. And again, I've actually made that mistake before too. And this is why a lot of the things that we teach really is purely based on our own mistakes, right? The joke has always been when you go to a class, you're really learning from the collective what to do and what not to do, especially so that you can carve out a much better, much better path for yourself. And so with that said, though, yeah, you can hold, you can sell. However, again, if you can sell for a decent profit and that becomes a great down payment for maybe a multi that you want to go into, let's say you build a 4-unit, but for the proceeds from that, the profit from that allows you to buy a 20-unit apartment building that's going to give you the cash flow that contributes to your financial independence or financial freedom goal. That's the path that I would take. Right. However, if you say, hey, you know what? I got a job. I know that's not your scenario. However, let's say if you say, I got a job, my husband's got a job, we're both decent income earners, and we really just want to really accumulate big chunks of capital fast, then yeah, buy and sell, buy and sell. You don't have to turn that profit into anything else if you don't want to. So everything comes back to what your ultimate goal is.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so it looks like the questions have all pretty much been answered. Yes. Okay, then what I'll do is I'm gonna continue the webinar, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna share with you some of the upcoming events as well. And so for those of you, you've already been following the Trust Your Talent Academy Eventbrite page. And if you have not yet, make sure you go to Eventbrite and follow it so that you will never miss out on another event that's happening. And the whole webinar series between September and October is really focusing on how can everybody leverage real estate investing to continue to build income streams and long-term wealth in 2023 and onwards, because I understand that there's been so much confusion, so much fear, especially when navigating through the current economic conditions, especially right here in North America. So we do have a total of 5 webinar series that's coming up here. And I will also list it out so that it's a lot easier for everyone. Right now, if you like to take out your phone, if you're already on your phone, do a screenshot of this if you like, so that you are going to be able to put them in your agenda and your calendar so you don't miss any of them. Okay, today we started with how to purpose build your properties to maximize your profit. Again, in the chat box, if you were even following a lot of the questions and the answers that we've been providing, you'll notice that really this is a big subject, and we do a very solid deep dive over 3 days during the annual conference, which we will share with you in a little bit as well. However, look at the 4 upcoming webinars and make sure that you are registered for them on Eventbrite. And as you know, these are all free webinars. We just want to make sure that you pick the one or the ones that will actually contribute and help you continue to grow in your journey as a real estate investor. And so with that said, the next live financial education workshop that is coming up, okay, is actually just around the corner, 2 weekends from now. We're going back to Toronto. You can find the information on this workshop on our website at trustyourtalent.ca. Okay, and that's happening Saturday, Sunday in a couple of weeks. And for the very first time, I know it says financial education through strategic real estate investing. A couple nights ago, internally with the Trust Talent community, we actually launched a brand new investing program with paper assets, or rather, passive investing with paper assets that will allow you to learn how you can leverage other asset classes, meaning stocks, paper assets, commodities, precious metals, to continue to build your income streams as well on a regular basis. And that is happening in Toronto coming up this month, and next month. During the annual conference in Vancouver, we will also have another financial education workshop. So whatever market you're in, or there are people that you know that are in these markets that can benefit from going to a financial education workshop, this is the place to go. Again, you're not going to find another academy out there that is even remotely comparable to what we do. And next item here is we are having a TYT Connect in Toronto on the Saturday of September 23rd. And that's happening at the Chop Steakhouse at 801 Dixon Road. You can find this on Eventbrite as well, so you can make sure that you get yourselves registered. Now, with that said, though, the financial education workshop, what you can expect. And for existing students, as you know, you are always welcome to attend our workshops, okay? This can be a good refresher, can create a lot of good aha moments. For those of you who are not in the Trust Your Talent community and you really want to get an idea in terms of what we teach, how we teach it, and what we do offer, come to a live workshop. We also have online workshops. You'll find that information on Eventbrite and on our website later. We're going to cover everything that you see here. And again, for the first time, we're also going to be covering paper asset investing. All of this for 2 days. We know that the value is way over $9,000. However, for the rest of the year, we've decided that for you plus one guest to attend a workshop is only $297. So make sure that you go onto our website and grab a spot. The Toronto workshop, by the way, happening in 2 weeks, only has 8 seats left, okay? The ballroom, the hotel already told us that there is no way, because that weekend is booked up, for us to get a bigger room at this point. So if you're coming, if you know anybody else that should be coming, let them know. Register now, register today. And so with that said, I do want to share a little bit about what the conference is going to look like with all of you. This is an event that happens once a year, by definition, annual conference. And we also have a very exciting Saturday evening plan we call the annual Trust Your Talent Academy Awards. And that's the award ceremony that really celebrates people's efforts and dedication and their journey as investors, and most importantly, their results. At Trust Your Talent, I don't know what you've been exposed to. We only enroll 60 to 80 students max on an annual basis right now. Why? Because, as I mentioned earlier, every single person's journey to financial independence, financial freedom, and financial success is different from one to another. And so it's very, very tailored. And so we want to make sure that everybody gets the results that they're looking for. This is not just about selling courses. It has never been about that from day one for Trust Your Talent. It's all about creating results. So on the Academy Awards night, we celebrate people's results first and foremost. In fact, in this room today, right now, we have people that have already won different awards, including declaring financial freedom. And so you can see this is the kind of community that we are. People continue to come back and stay involved because you gotta find a group of people that really share similar mindsets and values with you so that you can create sustainable long-term successes and wealth, okay? We always say this is not about get rich quick, especially when you're using real estate as your asset class. However, when you do it right, surround yourself with the right people, get the proper support that you need, it is get rich and become wealthy for sure for the rest of your life. And so on that note, the annual conference is happening over the weekend of October 27th, 28th, and 29th, 3 full days. And we're offering 5 different classes. Each class, we do a deep dive over 3 days. So just think about how much content that is. I want to let you know, because this is a common confusion, the 5 classes, you don't hop around the 5 classes. You choose one and you focus on that, okay? So this is one subject for the entire weekend. We have real estate investing. REI stands for real estate investing. fundamentals, and distressed properties. In that class, you're going to learn how to do your proper due diligence and how educated and professional investors structure their acquisition process, meaning making offers, negotiations, and due diligence, and how to leverage your findings to make sure that whatever exit strategy that you choose to go into, it is profitable to the max. And the next one is creative financing level 1. We have internally real estate investing financing fundamentals, creative financing level 1, level 2, and level 3. What is level 1? I'm going to direct you to our website to read up on the full description of the course. Now, in the short description of that is that we believe that money should be the least limiting factor when you are an investor, a professional investor, because when the deal is good, the money will follow. And so during that course, our strategy trainer, Brooke Shang, is going to show everybody how you can leverage the power of a joint venture partnerships. Okay, so we do a 3-day deep dive on just that topic, and we're going to add in a few different components that will be complementary to that too. The next course is serviced accommodations. Serviced accommodation, a lot of people know it as short-term rental. However, the bigger umbrella really, as we always say, is serviced accommodations. And then you break it down into short-term, mid-term rentals, and then you further break it down into vacation rentals. Most people use Airbnbs, and this is why we will never have a course called Airbnb, because Airbnb is a marketing platform, not a strategy, okay? And so that will cater and feed into your vacation rentals. We also will cover student rentals, executive rentals, and other potential uses when you have a fully finished and furnished and serviced properties in your portfolio. Next is infills and project management. Remember, building something just like buying a property is easy when you have the money. It is how you make money and how you keep the most amount of your money. That is the science and the art here that all professional investors learn how to do. And so project management is a big factor of it, and it's being taught by none other than our Rolando Davila here. And last but not least on the list, for the very, very first time, you have not come across this. We are bringing a foreclosure queen from Florida, USA, to come in and teach this course. 3 days, once again, showing even if you're Canadians. And basically what that really means from a tax code standpoint is you're a foreign buyer and you're a foreign investor. You do not have any American status there. How to purchase and manage your US foreclosure buying process efficiently and effectively, okay? And so again, as you remember, if you took a picture as I suggested you to earlier, you know that we're gonna have a webinar with Catherine coming up as well. So make sure if that's something that you're interested in or all of these topics and courses, make sure you come to every single webinar that's coming up in the next few weeks here, okay? And so you can go on to trustyourtalent.ca and you will see how you can register for the annual conference. On that note, the annual conference and a course credit, it goes just beyond that because it will give you access to every single component, bonus sessions, as well as Academy Awards that whole weekend. And when you go on the website right now, you will see that there is a listed price. You know what? I'm just going to share this with everybody so that you can see what I see when you get on the site. This is the annual conference registration page sitting right on the trustyourtalent.ca website. You can reserve your spot and you can see now we're just shy of 7 weeks away. And so as you scroll down, you will see the descriptions of what an annual conference is, a little bit of a video footage from our last year's conference. The first 2 years, we had to do it virtually due to COVID lockdowns. And you can now start to get yourselves registered. And for conference admissions and course registration, this is good for 2 people for all 3 days is $4,997. Okay, so for all 3 days, each course likely is going to do a 24-hour deep dive. So really, if you work out what that means to you, it's basically no different than going to a yoga class. And so with that said, though, we always say action takers get rewarded. So what we're going to be sharing with you today, just because you've made the time here, for all of you that are in the TYT community already, you're already there. So you don't have to worry about this. However, for those of you who are not part of the community and you want to come and join us for any one of these courses, plus the entire conference, you are now able to go on our website at checkout, use the promo code TYT Rocks for 50% off of the listed price. So make sure you do that. And if you have any questions about, you know what, they all look great, because they are. And so that's the thing. We will never settle for anything that's not. And if you're having trouble choosing from between one class or another, I would suggest that you register for one regardless. And then if you do need to change after your conversation with a strategy coach, then we are more than happy to re-register you into a course that may make more sense based on where you are right now on your investing journey. However, the first thing is to take action and make sure you register for a course right now to secure your spot. Now, with that said, when you're on the conference website, you also know that there is a hotel group rate at the beautiful Vancouver Weston Bayshore. And so you want to make sure you you reserve your hotel room during the conference nights if it's something that you do require. On that note, I want to make sure that strategy coaches, you have shared the link with everybody on how to get in touch with one of you in the chat box, please, so that we can continue to move on. Yes, Catherine is absolutely amazing. I know a few people in the community have already worked with her as well and that are in this room today. So on that note, stay connected. We have a YouTube channel. In case you didn't know, you can also follow us on Instagram. And some of you already are on the Talented Investors group on Facebook. So I'm going to let you take a minute or so here to make sure that you find us on YouTube, you find us on Instagram, you find us on Facebook if you're not already there. Now, I want to bring your attention over to our YouTube channel. It's a gold mine there. Every single webinar we have ever run is now published there. And in addition to that, over the last few years, I've actually created quite a few series of videos sharing with people what financial education means, and more importantly, how we leverage real estate as an asset class to make sure that we succeed as investors, meaning we learn how money works and how to make money for us so that we can over time free up the time for ourselves so that we can pursue the things that really are meaningful to us. With that said, on behalf of everybody from Trust Your Talent, we'd like to give you a huge thank you and for joining us. And if you got any other questions, we got about 6 more minutes to scheduled end time. Do I need to go back to anything? Do you guys have any other questions for Rolando? No? I think we're all pretty good here. So many people, they're always asking, okay, there's so many different strategies. Are all strategies applicable across markets? Well, when you start to talk to the coaches and the mentors and the trainers, you're going to learn that the answer is always yes and no. And really, ultimately, the right answer is it depends. I'll give you some perspectives here. Strategies like private lending, learn from creative financing, infills and project management, and also strategy like lease options. In my opinion, these 3 are the universally applicable strategy, pretty much any market that you go into in North America these days. Foreclosure does not really exist truly in the Canadian market just because of the legal system and the financial system that we have. And this is why really smart and educated investors when you're looking at foreclosure opportunities, we tend to go south of the border because you literally are able to pick up properties pennies on the dollar without having to go through an extensive and strenuous bidding process. Now, I personally, when it comes to holds, I look at first and foremost, not value, not price per unit, also not yield, but the Residential Tenancies Act. Is it pro-tenant? Is it pro-landlord? Because at the end of the day, you can run your numbers however you want to run, but if you are not able to clean up your properties, because ultimately we look at the numbers. If you're not able to deal with the challenges that are caused by tenants, and the tenants are heavily protected, reasonably or unreasonably, I'll let you be the judge of that, by the Residential Tenancy Act, then that is not going to be contributing towards your financial goal. In fact, it might actually add more headaches than you wanted to. So that's my very, very roundabout way of saying there are, especially in Canada, certain provinces that perhaps long-term rentals do not actually make sense. So enter serviced accommodations. And in the provinces, markets, states that you are able to have a bit more power as landlords and owners and investors, that's where you leverage your income properties, multi-unit residential strategies, amongst many others. And so with that said, again, if you want to dive a little deeper with any specific topics, strategy coaches are here for you. For existing TYT investors and students, make sure you reach out to your mentors. So on that note, we are at about, on my clock, 10:32 Edmonton time. So thank you so very much again for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you at the upcoming webinars as well. The next one is coming up Tuesday, the 12th. So hope to see you all there once again. Have a great rest of the day and enjoy your weekend.